Some weeks ago, we started a series on what really matters in your journey to tech. And ever since then, we've been picking a question week after week, treating particular questions as it aligns with the questions you should ask in your pursuit to a tech tech career, tech business, or whatsoever the case is. So we are in the seventh part, and in this part, we'll be looking at quite an important, and this is the last question you should ask yourself in your journey to tech. So we started with asking questions as it aligns with the knowledge you possess, whether you're growing or not, the kind of technical skills you should have, whether you are being productive or you're producing results, where is your destination? These are some of the questions that we asked. And today we'll be looking at the last and final part of that series in the Tech Mentorship series today. And we'll be looking at the concept or the question of what does finishing well represent, or finishing well as the last thing that really matters in your journey to tech, finishing well. And in this case, we're looking at what does finishing well really means. So finishing well is usually the stage is a stage of your career where destination has been reached and impact has been made. That's what it means when you say finishing well. It means that you have gotten to your destination. And last week we treated destination as a concept that really matters, and in that last week we gave clarity on what defines your destination in your tech journey. So now, when we're talking about finishing well, we're talking about that you have gotten to your destination. But it's not just getting to your destination, because you can get to your destination and all through your journey, you've not made any impact. Because the goal is to be impactful. The goal is to make an impact in the industry, in the company you're working, and the business you operate in, make an impact. So you can finish well. You're considered to have finished well if you succeed in getting to your destination, and beyond that, you succeed in making an impact. So that is what it means to finishing well. But there are factors that determines whether you finish well or not. And that's one of the things we want to be looking at today. So the first factor that would determine whether you finish well in your tech journey is whether is a factor of the kind of knowledge that you possess. So for you to have considered to be someone that had finished well, or that have finished well in your tech journey, it means that you should be able to you should have possessed a level of knowledge that is considered to be high, as long as the industry is concerned. Generally, in our pursuit to that, when we're asking the question, the kind of knowledge you have, we clearly gave you. I gave you a principle, the triple tree knowledge principle, which largely categorize the level, the type of knowledge that you should have. And we say there is the relational knowledge you should possess, there is the general or developmental knowledge, then there is the personal knowledge. Under the relational knowledge, we gave three different knowledge, and I want to refer you to that particular as the part. I think that's the part one or part two of what truly matters in your journey to tech. Then we look at the second aspect of the second question, which is, are you truly growing? You want to ask yourself if you're growing, and if you're not growing, what are the strategies you need to put in place to ensure that you grow? This is also one of the things that determines whether you're finishing well, because what are the strategies you have put in place to ensure that you grow consistently? We said it's not about producing results, but producing results consistently. You have to ensure that you produce results day in, day out. Every time you're always producing results, being productive. So that's the second determining factor of whether you're finishing well, your ability to develop a strategy for consistent growth. The third factor that can determine whether you're finishing well is the type of technical skill that you possess. So it's not all technical skills that helps you to finish well. There are technical skills that before you finish acquiring the skill become obsolete. So it is expected of you to have possessed a level of skill, a skill that is one needed, a skill that is useful in the dispensation, the generation that you find yourself. Don't acquire any skill, or don't acquire skills because people are acquiring skills. You acquire skills because the skill is needed, the skill is and the skill is useful. And beyond acquiring a skill that is needed and useful, you have to ensure that the skill has what I consider to be a longevity period, a period where you can use the skill for a long time. Not that you are acquiring a skill today and between the next 2 years of you using that skill become obsolete. So you have to look at some of these skills when acquiring your skill, when acquiring a technical skill, because that is a determining factor of whether you will finish well. Because there is a way you measure finishing well, which I will be looking at later on. If you acquire a skill before you get to the stage of you measuring whether you have finished well or not, you find out that you have really not gone far. You've not even started, because there is a way you can use to measure whether you're finishing well. So the third thing is what is the level of skill, technical skill that you have, because the kind of skill, the technical skill that you possess can determine whether you finish well or not. The fourth thing is your level of productivity. How productive are you, or how result oriented are you? If you produce result consistently, that has a huge impact on whether you will finish well or not. Because someone that produces result consistently means the person is practicing what he has acquired as a skill, and as he's practicing, he's getting to a stage of mastery. And because you've gotten to the stage of mastery, you will continue to produce results. And I told us that the result you produce is largely, there is a life cycle to produce result consistently. That was in part 5 of what truly matters. I told when we're talking about results, a result can be produced consistently by using the life cycle of producing result consistently. And I said it starts by the association you find yourself, because the association you find yourself will feed you with the kind of information that you need. And the kind of information you need can be convincing enough to make you take action. And it is action on convinced information that is derived from a right association that helps you produce results. And when you continue to roll out that fact, you'll find out that it all goes, you continue to produce results consistently. So as it stands, so that's it. So producing result is one of the factors that determines whether you finish well, or you're finishing well, or you will finish well. The fifth factor that determines whether you finish well is the factor of the kind of relationship you have. And that I think we treated that in part 4, either part 4 or part 5, one of it. The relationship is powerful. Your relationship can determine, you can be with somebody, and you can have a relationship with somebody and the relationship is parasitic. And I explained that in that particular question, when we're trying to ask that question of the kind of relationship that you possess. That should be part 4 or part 5. So I strongly encourage that you go in to check the series from part 1 to part 7, what truly matters in your journey to tech. They are all important concepts, important strategies were shared, and all of it. So you should go there and check it out. So the kind of relationship you have determines whether you finish well or not. You can't be expected, you can't have the destination of a particular aspiration or a particular location, and you are among friends that are going to a different destination. So your destination should determine the kind of association you find yourself. If you want to be wise, find yourself among the association of wise people. If you want to be a software developer, try to be among software developers. If you want to be a cybersecurity professional, join a cybersecurity association. These are how you use in building relationship that matters and helps you to finish well. The sixth thing is you having a destination. Like I said, many persons usually go into a career and they don't know their end goal. They want to go into a career, they don't know whether the goal is to get to the end, to the tip of the career, or to the end of their destination career, and resign. So what do you want to do when you get to the end? Do you want to become an expert and remain an expert, or you want to move into becoming an entrepreneur? These are kind of questions you want to ask when drafting out your your predefined destination. Your predefined destination can be becoming the best in this. Your predefined destination can be becoming a tech leader. Your predefined destination can be becoming a tech entrepreneur. You can design a predefined destination, but ensure that you define it early enough, especially in your entry level stage, so that you know what to accept and what not to accept. Because what your destination determines where you go, determines the route you follow, determines what you allow and what you don't allow. But if you don't have a destination, which is largely if you don't have a purpose or career objective, you can allow anything. Someone can tell you, come and develop a website for me today, you do that. Someone can say, come and develop, come and network a system for me today, you do that. And the reason you do A and B and C and D and all of them are together is because you really don't know where you're going to. You're just for the purpose of making money and not building a career. And that can be catastrophic because nobody knows you for something. You need to be known for something. You need to be known. If you want to be known for web development, let that be your priority. If you want to be known for networking, let that be your priority. If you want to be known for security, let that be your priority. Whatever area you want to be known for, that should be your priority. That should be your destination. And that should be what you should prioritize above every other thing. If someone tells you, hey, come and develop a website for me and I'll pay you so amount of money. Another person is telling you, come and develop a website, come and network a company for me and I'll pay you so amount of money. Maybe by a little percentage, the networking job is more than the development job. You just decide to go for the networking job and ignoring the development job. Meanwhile, networking is not your core. Development is your core. So you need to know what you should prioritize. Prioritize your destination if you do have. And if you don't have, this is a clarion call for you to develop a destination, which is a career purpose. Your career purpose should have an entry level, your career objective, I beg your pardon, should have an entry level, you should have a purpose, and you should have an exit plan. So how you enter, what you want to achieve when you get in, and how you're exiting. If you're getting employed in an organization, how you get in, how you got in, what's your destination, that's your purpose for being in that organization, and how you exit. Your exit plan can be starting of a company. Your exit plan can be transiting into a new role. Your exit plan can be going into another business, another line of tech domain. So it's up to you to determine all of that and how all that works, as long as your career objective is concerned. So these are the 6 factors that determine whether you're finishing well or you're not. So let me go through each one again. The first thing is that what determines whether you're finishing well is the level of knowledge that you possess. The second thing is the strategy for consistent growth. The third thing is the technical skill that you're able to acquire. The fourth thing is your ability to produce results consistently. The fifth thing is the kind of relationship that you have. And the sixth thing is, what is your predefined destination? These are questions you must answer. These are questions that bringing them together and bringing the answers of this question together can help you know whether you will finish well or you are in the right track of finishing well. But this is just one part of it, because finishing well is a part. The second part is, how do you measure whether you are finishing well? Because you can finish well, like I said, you can finish well and truly you did not make any impact, because finishing well has 2 phases. There has two stages. There's the first stage of you getting to your destination, which is your anticipated destination, your predefined destination, where you want to get to at a particular period of time. But that's just the first stage. The second stage is, while you've gotten to your destination, what is the level of impact that you have made? So you have to be able to measure all of these using certain parameters, and that's what I want us to look at as the second phase to answering the question of what does finishing well truly represent. So the second part is, how do you measure success in tech? You are in tech, you've moved from becoming a tech enthusiast, so you're now a tech professional, you've acquired the skill, you've acquired all that is needed to become a tech enthusiast. So how do you measure that you have succeeded in your tech journey? So the first way you want to measure that you have succeeded in your tech journey is by asking yourself, how many gaps have you identified as a tech professional? So the tech industry has a whole lot of problems. What I mean problems is every day new problems are being identified. The way we used to program in the 90s is quite different from the way we used to program now. And the reason is because we are evolving. New technology keeps coming. So people identify these technologies, but beyond identifying these technologies, they were able to first identify the problems. So you want to ask yourself, throughout my 5, 10, 15 years in tech, how many problems have I identified for the industry or within the industry? I'm not talking about identifying problems in the organization you work for, because that is you can identify problems in the organization you work for. But how about identifying problems in the industry that you work in, the tech industry? What are the problems that exist in the tech industry? And these problems, have you been able to identify them? Because for every solution starts with a problem identification. For any solution to be created, problem needs to be identified. So yeah, you may be among those that have created a solution, but what about being among the group of persons that identified a problem, either from the standpoint of research, from the time either professional research, academic research, whatsoever form, but a problem needs to be identified. So you ask yourself, how many problems? It's not about even the numbers, but it is the impact that problem that you've identified made. Programming used to be quite difficult for you. Just imagine you having to learn how to program in C plus or C sharp compared to you having to program in Python. So programming, it is the problem of difficulties in learning programming that brought about ease of programming using Python. Python as a programming language was developed because there is need for one to be able to program with ease. So the identification of a problem is a major factor in measuring whether you have finished well or you have succeeded in tech. So that's the first thing. The second question you want to ask yourself is the question of how many solutions you've been involved in developing for the industry. Not necessarily this in the solution. It doesn't really necessarily mean for the industry. It can be for the business you work for, the company you work for, the team you collaborate with. What are the solutions that you have been involved in? Were you involved in the development of a particular feature? Were you involved in the development of an open source project? Were you involved in the development of a particular tool, a particular technology? How many solutions can you say to yourself that I've been involved in the development of A, B, C, or I've been involved in the development of X, Y, Z, and the development of this solution has impacted A, B, C persons or this particular career field or career tech domain. The solution you develop, it's not about the numbers, it's about the impact that single solution has made. Can you imagine being involved in the what's it called? The Wireshark project. Wireshark is a tool that helps in carrying out packet analysis. Can you imagine being involved in the team or being part of the team that developed that particular solution? That solution has been impactful in helping cybersecurity professionals. Can you imagine being involved in the development of Go language, which is the language that was developed by Google team with Google? So you see that this programming language is constantly being adopted by new software developers, and the reason is because of the impact the programming language is making for developers. So you ask yourself, what are the solutions I have been involved in, and how has that particular solution or those solutions impacted my company? How has it impacted the industry? How has it impacted my group of career professionals? These are the questions you want to ask yourself, because that is how you measure your success. If you've really been in tech 5, 10, 15 years and you have not been able to identify a problem within the industry, but beyond identifying the problem, you have not been involved in solving certain problems, be it problems that you solve. It can be a problem that you solve in your organization, but it has grown beyond your organization and it's now being adopted by other organizations. That is impact. And the fourth question you want to ask yourself is, what is your deliverability rate? So if you're given a job to do, how soon can you deliver? If you are developing a policy, how soon can you develop the policy? If you're identifying a problem, how soon? These are, you want to look at your deliverability rate, because you measure success by time to a large extent. So if in 3 years you've been able to deliver 20 web application projects, and somebody has spent 20 years and is only able to deliver 3, it means that you have more impact than that person that has spent 20 years, even though you have 3 years experience. So your deliverability rate has a huge impact on whether you are growing or not, or whether you have succeeded in tech or not. Deliverability rate helps you to determine the numbers of projects you've been involved in, how many of them, how long it took you to deliver, what is the gap, the gap period for project delivery from the time it was issued to the time it was delivered. These are questions. These are metrics you want to put in place, and metrics you want to ask yourself while delivering a particular project. Your deliverability rate is powerful. It is essential. It is something you want to look out for. You know, when I was working for Valencia Hotels as the information system manager, like I said, I've said this several times. The infrastructure the network infrastructure that they are currently using, even in the organization, it's the infrastructure that I personally developed. I designed the network infrastructure. I designed the hardware infrastructure. After designing it, to a large extent, I implemented 95% of this infrastructure. And by implementing it, I designed a system that you can just, all you need to do is to plug and play. If you can easily upgrade and all of that. So my period of managing the organization for 6 years as the head of IT there, this I can consider to be my deliverability rate. These are things I would say I have been able to achieve while working for the organization. You know, this is the reason why most persons, they don't want to know what your job description. If you're applying for jobs, people don't want to know what your job description is, whether whether you are expected to do this or do that. They want to know what you did while you were there. They want to know what you've been able to achieve while you were working in the organization. They want to know the project you were part of. They want to know the system you designed. They want to know the application you developed. These are the things that are now being captured in our resume. Nobody wants to know your job description. Your job description, you can have 1,001 job description that it is only one that you are actually working in, but you are expected to perform in about 1,000 more. So your job description doesn't really determine your deliverability rate, but what you actually did while in the job, because that's what truly matters when you are pursuing a new career, you're pursuing when you want to get vacancy, you want to apply for a new role. That's what happens. You want to check how impactful your project has been, what projects you've been involved in, what solution you've been able to identify, and that. So these are what you use in measuring. These are what you use to measure your tech success. And this is what it means by you finishing well. So in one word, finishing well means impact. In one word, finishing well means impact. How impactful have you been? Are you that person that will leave an organization and they're happy that you've left the organization because your impact rate was low? Or are you that person that leaves an organization and your first contract? You know, in fact, see, when I left that hospitality industry, the goal was to start my company. And After leaving the organization and resigning, a week later, in fact, the first contract I ever got after leaving the organization was given to me by the organization. And in that contract, I was able to make half of my salary, and I solved that problem in less than 30 minutes. So that is how you measure deliverability rate. So are you that person that leaves an organization and everybody is leaving there, is happy that you're leaving because no impact? No impact. And I'm not talking about I'm not talking about people happy because you were trying to do your job. I'm talking about you people happy because you did not impact anybody, you did not groom any person. You were being very stiff and rigid in the way you implement your policies and all of that. There is no impact. Nobody's angry that you're leaving. When I was leaving, I was asked to stay, and my salary will be increased. I said no, my time is off. My time is off. Yeah, it's time I move. So you would know your level of impact when leaving an organization, because offers will come. People with the organization would approach you with new offer because they've been able to feel your impact while you are holding that position. It doesn't matter whether you are the head or you are part of a team. But what matters, whether you are the head or part of a team, your impact would have been felt by even those in the aim of authority, those in the leadership, those in management. So you should not be among those category of persons that you are living your technical role and everyone is happy. You are living your technical role, and the day you left, that's the day they were able to identify that, okay, you have been the cause of their problem because you have been doing a particular programming language the way that is not approved by the way. Just some kind of filthy reasons why they should not even give you an offer, or why they should allow you to go. Your deliverability rate, your success metrics is very important, not just for the organization that you are working, but for the organization that you are going or going into. And that is what we are for you today. But before we go into that, it's quite important that I let you know that this is marking the last part of what really matters in your journey to tech. And we've been answering questions that you should ask yourself while you progress in your tech journey. And we started by saying you should ask yourself about the kind of knowledge you should possess. You should ask yourself whether you are growing. You should ask yourself the kind of technical skill you should possess. You should ask yourself whether you are producing results. Ask yourself whether you have a destination. Ask yourself the kind of relationship you have. And the last is ask yourself whether you are on the path to finishing well. And once you've been able to answer all of these, I think you would be able to have a concrete answer to that last question, if you're going to finish well or not. Thank you so much for being part of this series, and this is the Tech Mentorship series, which is a series that is aimed at a program that is aimed at impacting tech enthusiasts, turning tech enthusiasts to tech professionals, and making them become ultimate tech leaders. So we have in the past treated a whole lot of topics, from how to become a tech expert, what are the technical skills you should possess, the soft skills you should possess, and all those other things. We've answered a whole lot of questions, strategies for you to get employed. These are some of the questions that we have addressed and topics we've treated. So I want to encourage you, please subscribe to this channel. And ensure that you are always following us for our new content, because weekly we release content every Friday, just to ensure that we give you some of the interesting things that really matters as you progress in your tech journey, and also help you to give you strategies that you can implement to succeed as a tech professional or a tech expert or even a tech leader. Strategies that you can implement to succeed as a tech entrepreneur, and how you can progress from being an enthusiast to become a tech professional. These are some of the things these are some of the concepts and questions and topics we treat in the Tech Mentorship series. And I want to wish you well, and see you next week when we'll be looking and picking an entirely new topic altogether. My name is Haniel Jafaru, and I am the Tech Mentor.